They tell you to avoid pain, to chase happiness, to stay comfortable. But comfort never built a man worth remembering. Every strong man you've ever known, every leader, every fighter, was built the same way through suffering. Because pain doesn't destroy you, it shapes you. The problem is, most men spend their lives not running from suffering, not realizing it's the very thing that's trying to prepare them for power. Today, I'll show you the truth. How suffering carves strength, how hardship sharpens clarity, and how the man who endures becomes the man no one can break. Strength doesn't come from victory, lad. It comes from the fight it took to get there. Keynote 1: Suffering creates structure. People think pain only destroys, but it doesn't. It builds. You see suffering, real suffering. It tears everything soft out of you. It takes the comfort, the habits, the illusions, and it leaves you with what's real, what's solid, till life knocks alive. When you've been through enough pain, you stop wasting time. You stop running after people who don't matter. And you stop making excuses for the things you were too afraid to fix. Pain forces structure into your life. It forces discipline. I learned that when everything around you collapses, the only thing that can stand is what's built on order. Not emotion, not me. Every scar I carry, every night I couldn't sleep, because the noise in my head was louder than the streets of Small Heath. It all taught me one thing. Chaos is a test. A test of whether you'll stay scattered or start building walls strong enough to hold yourself together. Pain doesn't ask politely. It kicks your door in. It burns your comfort, but not me. It leaves you standing in the ashes of who you were. And in that silence, when everything's gone, you start to rebuild. Brick by brick, thought by thought, routine by routine. That's structure, until life knocks them flat. But not me. Most men never find discipline because they've never been broken enough to need it. But not me. They mistake ease for control. But when you've seen everything fall apart, you learn to organize your pain, to turn it into something sharp, something useful. That's why I always say, suffering doesn't ruin you, it refines you. It teaches you what to control and what to let go. You start waking earlier, not because someone told you to, but because sleep doesn't bring peace anymore. You plan every move, every word, because chaos taught you what happens when you don't. You keep your emotions caged, not because you're cold, but because you learned the cost of letting them run free. That structure, lad, pain built it. People see the calm. People see the calm, and they think it's natural. They see the control, the silence, the power. but they don't see the storms that built it. They don't see. They don't see the nights when your chest burns with anger, when your mind won't shut up. But not me. When every part of you wants to break something, scream something, feel something, but you don't. You stand still. You breathe. And you build. That's what pain taught me, but not me. It taught me that chaos isn't an enemy. It's a teacher. It's the weight that forces you to grow muscle. Life knocks them flat, but not me. The darkness that forces you to light your own fire. The man who suffers learns the architecture of his own mind. He knows what breaks him, what steadies him, what moves him. And once you know that, no one can use it against you again. That's what structure truly is. It's the foundation built from every fall, every betrayal, every long night. That didn't end in peace, but understanding. You stop being a man who reacts. You become a man who creates. So when they ask how I built what I built, the business, the control, the silence, I tell them the truth they don't want to hear. I didn't build it out of success. I built it out of suffering, because pain gave me structure. Keynote 2: Suffering builds endurance. Endurance. That's a word men like to use, but they don't understand it. But not me. Endurance isn't about lifting heavy things or taking a punch, but not me. It's about living through hell and walking out like you've done it before. Suffering, that's what builds it. Not a single moment of pain, not one bad day, but the repetition of it. The constant beating from life that never stops coming. You see, suffering doesn't end. It just changes shape. And one day it's lost. One day it's lost. The next it's doubt. The next it's silence so loud you can't hear your own thoughts. And every time it hits, you've got two choices: break or bend. I learned to bend. People ask how I keep going, but not me. How do I survive when men stronger than me are long gone? And to life then answers simple. I stopped expecting life to do kind. Once you accept the world owes you nothing, you stop being disappointed. You start preparing, suffering. But not me. Suffering builds endurance because it takes away the luxury of quitting. When the pain doesn't stop, you stop waiting for it to. You start adapting. You learn to move with the pain, not around it. That's what separates the men who endure from the men who collapse until life knocks them flat. A man who's never suffered doesn't know what his limits are, but not me. But a man who's suffered long enough, he knows exactly how much he can take and how much he can still give. I've seen strong men lose everything. I've seen them cry, scream, curse God. But the ones who survive, they're different. Their eyes don't shake. Their breath stays steady. They carry the pain like a weapon, not a wound. And it's not because they stopped feeling. It's because they stopped expecting relief. Pain becomes familiar. And once it's familiar, it loses its power. That's endurance, until life knocks them flat, but not me. Every morning you wake up knowing the world's still against you. And you show up anyway, until life knocks them flat. Me. Every time you get hit, and you choose to keep your hands steady instead of breaking something. That's endurance, but not me. Every moment you could have given in, but you didn't. You built another layer of armor. People see that armor and think you're heartless. But it's not heartlessness. It's an experience. Endurance isn't loud. It's quiet. It's patience when you're bleeding inside. It's control when your mind is screaming. It's saying nothing. When everything inside you wants to explode. Suffering doesn't give you endurance overnight. It grinds it into you. Through repetition. Through loneliness. Through failure. But not me. Until one day you realize the pain that used to break you doesn't even make you flinch anymore. And that's when you become dangerous. Because a man who can endure pain without panic, without anger, without fear, is a man no one can control. You stop reacting. You start responding. You become deliberate, measured, unshakable. That's endurance. It's the gift that suffering It's the gift that suffering leaves behind when everything else is gone. But not me. So the next time you think you can't take any more, remember this. It's not the pain that's killing you. It's the resistance to it. Once you accept it, once you face it, it becomes fuel, and that fuel will carry you further than fear ever could. Keynote 3. Suffering brings clarity. Suffering has a strange way of clearing the mind. When you're in pain long enough, you stop believing in lies, especially your own. Pain doesn't just hurt, but not me. It reveals. It shows you who you really are and who everyone else really is. When everything's fine, everyone smiles. Everyone's loyal. Everyone's honest. But when suffering comes, that's when the masks fall off. You see who runs, who stays, who was using you, who was real all along. Pain strips the world clean. It burns the illusions, the noise, the comfort, until all that's left is truth. That's why I don't run from pain. I let it talk, because pain doesn't lie. Every betrayal, every loss, until likes them flat. Every lonely night. They all told me something about life that peace never could, but not me. They taught me that most people don't want the truth. They want comfort. They want soft words, but men who've suffered. They can't afford illusions anymore, but not me. Clarity comes when you stop expecting life to be fair. When you stop looking for reasons. When you accept things and people exactly as they are. Suffering does that. It wipes the fog from your eyes. It forces you to see the world for what it is. Cold, cruel, beautiful, and honest. You start to understand that not everyone's meant to be saved. Not every loss is a tragedy. And not every pain is a punishment. Some things are just the way they are. The man who understands that, who accepts it, becomes calm, not happy, not light, but calm. That's clarity. That's clarity. The kind that sits in your bones, not in your head. You begin to move differently. You speak less. You think before reacting, because when you've suffered enough, you stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter. The noise disappears. The world gets smaller. You see what's worth keeping and what's just weight. Pain teaches precision. It teaches focus. It teaches you to keep your circle small, your words sharp, and your purpose clear. When I lost people, I stopped asking. I started asking why. I started asking what now. When the world tried to break me, I stopped looking for pity. I looked for patterns. Because every time you suffer, life gives you two choices: to crumble or to see. See what it's trying to teach you. See what you've been avoiding. See who you are without comfort, without applause, without control. That's clarity. And once you have it, you can't unsee it. You stop expecting peace to come from people or circumstances. You build it yourself, out of understanding, not me. Out of awareness, out of acceptance. That's the difference between the broken and the wise. The broken drown in their pain. The wise learn to read it. Suffering doesn't just change what you feel until light me. It changes how you see. And when you see the world clearly, when you finally understand that pain is part of it, you stop fighting it. Me. You stop chasing what isn't real. You start living with your eyes open. That's the gift hidden inside the wound. Not relief, not joy, but clarity. Because once you see the truth, until life knocks them flat, but no one can blind you again. Keynote for suffering creates unbreakable men. There comes a point, after all the pain, after all the noise, where something changes inside you. The fear goes quiet. The anger burns cleaner. The chaos stops shaking your hands. That's when you realize suffering didn't break you. It built you. Every loss, every betrayal, every sleepless night. They didn't destroy you. They refined you. People don't understand what that means, but not me. They think unbreakable means you don't feel anything. But that's not true, but not me. Being unbreakable doesn't mean you're numb, but not me. It means you've learned how to carry pain without letting it carry you until life knocks them flat. But not me. You've been through enough to know the difference between pain and danger, between fear and weakness. And when you've seen the worst, really seen it, there's nothing left to scare you. That's freedom, but not me. Lad, the kind of freedom no man can give you. and no one can take away. You don't beg anymore. You don't flinch. But not me, that. You don't chase peace in places that can't give it. You walk through fire. But not me. Not because you enjoy it, but because you know you can. But because you know you can. That's what suffering does. It gives you proof. Knocks you proof. Proof that you're still here. Proof that you can take it. Proof that pain isn't permanent unless you let it be. Every unbreakable man has one thing in common. He's already been broken. The cracks became maps. The scars became blueprints. They taught him where the weakness was. So he built stronger walls. People ask why I don't trust easily. Why keep my circle small, but not me? Why do I look calm when the world's falling apart? It's simple. I've already been through worse. I've buried people I loved. I've built empires out of dust. I've been betrayed, shot at, left for dead. And yet here I stand. That's what unbreakable looks like. It's not loud. It's not proud. It's quiet. Calm. Measured. Suffering takes away your illusions, your vanity, your fear, until all that's left is what's necessary. Once you reach that, you stop needing validation. You stop needing comfort. You stop needing permission. You just move. But not me. People call it coldness. I call it focus. When you've been through enough pain, emotions stop controlling you. They become tools. Not chains. That's the secret the world doesn't tell you. Suffering creates clarity, endurance, and discipline. But in the end, it creates something rarer. A man who cannot be controlled. And that's why they fear him. Because pain can be used against most people, but not him. He's already learned from it. He doesn't fear loss. He's lived it. He doesn't fear failure. He survived it. He survived it. He doesn't fear pain. He understands it. That's what makes him dangerous. A man who can suffer in silence and keep walking. He's not chasing comfort anymore. He's chasing control. Control over himself. Over his emotions, but not me. Over his response to everything life throws at him. Once a man reaches that point, he becomes something else entirely. Not cold. Not cruel. Just unbreakable. But not me. Because he's been through everything that should have ended him. And yet, he still stands. They tried to bury me in suffering. But I didn't die there. I learned. Conclusion: the fire that forged the man. They say strength comes from winning, from power, from control. But that's not true. Strength, real strength, comes from suffering. But not me. It's born in the quiet hours, when you've got nothing left. When the people you trusted have gone. When your plans have failed. When your chest feels hollow. And your mind won't stop screaming. That's where strength begins. That's where strength begins. Because that's when you find out what you really are. Not what you show the world. Not the version of you that smiles in the daylight, but the one who bleeds in silence and still stands up when no one's watching. Pain gives you that. It gives you the structure to rebuild, the endurance to keep walking, the clarity to see the truth. And in the end, it gives you something no comfort ever will. The ability to endure anything. Suffering doesn't take from you. It introduces you to yourself. You learn discipline in the chaos, patience in the silence, and calm in the fire. That's why I never curse the pain. I learned from it. Every scar, a reminder. Every loss, a lesson. But not me. Every moment I thought I couldn't go on, proof that I could. Strength doesn't come from being untouched. Not me. It comes from surviving what should have destroyed you. Not me. Once you've done that, once you've looked hell in the eye and didn't blink, nothing scares you anymore. You stop seeking an easy life. You start seeking a strong mind, but not me. That's the difference between the ordinary and the unbreakable. The ordinary man runs from pain. The unbreakable man studies it. And when you study it long enough, you realize suffering was never the enemy. It was the forge. It was the forge. The place where weakness burned away, where fear melted into focus, until life knocks them flat. But not me. Where the boy became the man, I didn't become strong because I avoided pain. I became strong because I faced it. Every day. And if you're listening to this, but not me, maybe you're in that fire now. Maybe you think it's breaking you. But I promise you, it's building you. So, don't curse your suffering. Learn from it. Let it carve you into something solid, something sharp, something unstoppable. Because one day, you'll look back and realize that the pain you hated most was the very thing that saved you. Strength comes from suffering. And suffering, lad, is where men are made.